The endless field of broken ships stretched out before Commander Jack Thompson. He stood at the viewport of his small scout vessel, his eyes taking in the massive junkyard of space debris that orbited the forgotten mining colony of Outpost 37. Twisted metal hulls, shattered solar arrays, and the hollow shells of what had once been proud ships now drifted silently in the void. Earth had abandoned this place 5 years ago, when the mines ran dry. They left behind everything too expensive to move: equipment, buildings, and damaged ships. Now, with enemies closing in on humanity's last safe places, these forgotten scraps might be their only hope. "What do you think, Commander?" asked Lieutenant Tom Miller, coming to stand beside Jack. "Doesn't look like much, does it?" Jack didn't answer right away. His mind was already sorting through the junkyard, seeing not what was, but what could be. "Run the numbers for me again," Jack finally said. Tom sighed and checked his tablet. "Not good, sir. The Stellar Coalition has us outgunned 10-1. Their ships are faster, stronger, and have better weapons. They've destroyed our main shipyards. The Earth Defense Fleet is down to 37 combat-ready vessels." He paused. "We're losing, sir. Everyone knows it." Jack turned away from the viewport, his face set with grim determination. Then we changed the game. The small command room on their scout ship became their planning center over the next 3 days. Jack called in the best minds they had left: engineers, weapons specialists, and tactical officers who hadn't given up hope. Most important was Chief Engineer Anna Reed, a gray-haired woman with eyes that missed nothing and hands that could fix anything. "This is insane," she said when Jack first explained his plan. "You want to build a warship from this junk. It would be a miracle if it even flew, let alone fought." "Then we'll make a miracle," Jack replied, "because we're out of conventional options." Anna studied the scans of the debris field again. "Some of these mining lasers could be modified for military use, and there's enough hull material to build something substantial. But the power requirements alone. What about those 3 damaged reactor cores from the old defense platforms?" Jack pointed to a cluster of debris on the far side of the field. 3 different types, 3 different generations of technology," Anna mused. "Incompatible systems." "Unless we make them compatible," Jack insisted. "Make them work together in ways their designers never imagined." Slowly, Anna's expression changed as possibilities formed in her mind. It would be ugly, a patchwork monster. Jack smiled for the first time in weeks. But it would be our monster. The next morning, Jack addressed the 200 crew members assembled in the scout ship's cargo bay. "Most of you know our situation," he began. "The Coalition thinks they've beaten us. They have more ships, better technology, and they've pushed us back to our final defensive line around Earth." He paused, looking at the faces before him, some hopeful, some doubtful, all tired from months of retreating and losing. "The Coalition calls humans the rats behind our backs," Jack continued. "They think it's an insult. But rats are survivors. Rats adapt. Rats thrive in the worst conditions. And right now, being rats is our greatest strength." He activated the holographic projector, showing a rough design that Anna had created overnight. It was strange-looking, asymmetrical, with obvious pieces from different vessels cobbled together. "This is the Phoenix. We're going to build her right here, from this scrapyard. She won't be pretty, but she'll be deadly. She'll use the Coalition's strengths against them, their rigid thinking, their standardized battle tactics, their predictability. The Phoenix will be like nothing they've ever faced, because no one would be crazy enough to build a ship this way. No one except humans with their backs against the wall." A low murmur spread through the crowd. Jack could see the doubt in many eyes. This plan was asking them to bet humanity's future on a ship made from trash. "Sir," a young technician spoke up, "even if we could build this, where would we get the crew? We don't have enough trained personnel to spare." "We're the crew," Jack answered simply. "Every person in this room. From this moment, we're no longer just a scouting mission. We're shipbuilders. We're innovators. We're the first crew of the Phoenix. The real work began the next day. Small teams in spacesuits ventured out to assess and claim the most promising pieces of debris. Anna established a makeshift command center, coordinating the massive salvage operation. The scout ship's small fabrication unit ran day and night, creating custom parts to connect incompatible systems. Progress was slow at first. Accidents happened. A severed airline here, a radiation leak there. 2 crew members were injured when a section of hull plating broke free during recovery. But with each setback came new solutions, improvised fixes that no engineering manual had ever documented. By the end of the first month, the basic frame of the Phoenix had taken shape. It hung in space like a skeletal promise, built around the intact bridge section of an old mining command vessel. Workers swarmed over it like ants, welding, cutting, and reshaping scrap into something new. Jack often found himself watching the construction from various viewports. During one such moment, Tom joined him. "The Coalition would laugh if they saw what we're building," Tom said. "Let them laugh," Jack replied. "The best weapon is the one your enemy doesn't understand until it's too late." As the second month began, word of their project spread through the remaining human forces. At first, Fleet Command was skeptical, even angry that Jack had diverted resources to such an unproven concept. But desperation has a way of making the impossible seem worth trying. "They're sending us more personnel," Jack told Anna as they reviewed the day's progress. 50 engineers and technicians will arrive next week, and they're officially designating us as Project Phoenix. Anna looked up from her tablet, her face showing the exhaustion they all felt. "So we're not crazy anymore." Jack laughed. "Oh, we're still crazy. They'd just decided crazy might be our last hope." As the work continued, something unexpected happened. The crew began to believe. What had started as a desperate gamble was becoming a symbol of human ingenuity and resilience. Each day the Phoenix grew more defined, more real, and with it grew their determination to prove that humanity would not go quietly into extinction. 6 months. Anna promised Jack one evening as they stood looking at the half-completed warship. "Give me 6 months, and I'll give you a ship that will make the Coalition regret ever calling us rats." Jack nodded, his eyes fixed on the Phoenix. From nothing but scrap and dreams, they were building humanity's last, best hope. And somehow, against all odds, he believed it would be enough. 6 months passed in a blur of endless work. The junkyard around Outpost 37 had transformed. Where once there was only floating debris, now there was purpose. Hundreds of people worked in teams, their spacesuits moving like busy insects across the growing shape of the Phoenix. Engineer Anna Reed stood in what would become the main engine room, her tablet showing the day's tasks. Her once neat gray hair now always looked messy, and dark circles had formed under her eyes from too little sleep. But there was fire in those eyes, a determination that inspired everyone around her. "The 3rd reactor is online," reported Sam, a young engineer who had become Anna's right hand. "Power output is stable at 65%. Anna nodded, making notes on her tablet. "Good. That's better than we hoped for. How are the connection points holding?" "The welds are solid. No leaks, no power fluctuations." What they had accomplished was already beyond what most engineers would believe possible. They had taken 3 different reactor cores, each designed for a different purpose, each using different technology, and made them work together as one power system. The first reactor's output fed into the second, which enhanced the energy before passing it to the third. The result was power levels that exceeded original specifications by more than double. "Commander Thompson is asking for an update," Sam said, checking his communicator. "He's bringing some visitors to see our progress." Anna sighed. More visitors meant more time explaining and less time working. But Jack had been good at getting them resources, so she couldn't complain too much. 30 minutes later, Jack arrived with 3 officers from Fleet Command. Anna recognized Admiral Wilson, a stern-faced woman who had initially opposed Project Phoenix. "And this is our engine room," Jack said proudly as they floated through the entry hatch. Chief Engineer Reed has created something truly remarkable here. Anna nodded to the visitors. We've managed to create a tri-core reactor system. Each core works in sequence, multiplying the output. We're seeing power levels 215% above standard specifications. Admiral Wilson's eyebrows rose slightly. Impressive. But is it stable? More stable than it should be, Anna admitted. We discovered that the radiation signature from the second core actually helps regulate the third. It's not something the original designers could have known. These systems were never meant to work together. Show them the weapon systems next, Jack suggested. That's where things get really interesting. The weapons bay of the Phoenix was a long chamber that had once been the cargo hold of a mining freighter. Now it housed what Anna considered her finest work. These started as standard mining lasers, she explained to the visitors, designed to cut through asteroid rock. We've modified them to channel through focusing crystals salvaged from old communications arrays. She activated a display showing test results. The beam coherence is remarkable. In our simulations, it cuts through standard coalition shields like they aren't even there. How is that possible? One of the officers asked. Their shield technology is generations ahead of ours because we're not using military-grade weapons, Anna explained. Their shields are designed to stop military energy signatures. Our hybrid mining lasers produce a completely different wavelength. They simply don't recognize the threat until it's too late. Admiral Wilson slowly walked around the weapons bay, studying everything with careful eyes. And the hull? She finally asked. Jack smiled. That's the best part. Show them, Anna. Anna led the group to a viewport where they could see workers attaching exterior hull plates. We're using a patchwork of different alloys. The pattern looks random, but it's carefully calculated. When enemy targeting systems scan us, the different materials create false readings and echoes. Their targeting computers can't get a solid lock. As the tour continued, Anna could see the Admiral's expression changing from skepticism to cautious hope. The Phoenix was ugly. There was no denying that. Its hull was a jagged collection of mismatched parts. Its shape was asymmetrical, with bulges and protrusions where different systems had been integrated. But in that ugliness was a kind of brutal beauty. The beauty of survival, of making do with what you have. Later, when the visitors had left, Jack found Anna in her makeshift office. The Admiral has approved full support for the Phoenix, he told her. We're getting everything we asked for. Additional personnel, priority on salvage rights, even some manufactured components from Earth's remaining factories. Anna looked up from her work, allowing herself a small smile. So they finally believe in us. They're starting to, Jack replied, sitting down across from her. But what matters more is that the crew believes. Have you noticed how they talk about the ship now? Not as a desperate last chance, but as something special. Anna had noticed. The Phoenix had become more than a project. It had become a symbol. In the mess hall, off-duty crew members swapped stories about the ship's unusual features. Some had started painting a Phoenix emblem on their spacesuits. There was even a growing collection of lucky charms being attached to the bridge stations. We're 2 weeks from our first system test, Anna said. The primary engines, life support, and defensive systems should all be operational by then. Weapons will take another week after that. Jack nodded, his face showing both excitement and concern. And then we see if this impossible ship can actually fly. The day of the first power-up sequence arrived with a mixture of tension and hope. The crew, now numbering over 300, were at their stations throughout the Phoenix. Jack sat in the command chair on the bridge, which had been assembled from parts of 3 different vessels. Around him, officers monitored stations cobbled together from salvaged equipment. All departments report ready, Commander, said Lieutenant Tom Miller from his position at Tactical. Jack took a deep breath. Begin power-up sequence. Throughout the ship, the 3 reactors came online in careful sequence. Power flowed through hastily assembled conduits, lighting up systems that had been dark for years before being salvaged and rebuilt. Anna's voice came over the comm from engineering. Reactor synchronization is holding steady. Power levels at 40% and rising. On the bridge, screens and control panels flickered to life. The hum of the ship's systems grew stronger, a vibration that could be felt through the deck plates. 50%, 60%, Anna reported. All systems nominal. Jack leaned forward in his chair. Take us to full power. There was a tense moment as the power levels rose. This was the moment of truth. Would the Phoenix hold together, or would their desperate gamble fail? 75%, 85%, 90%. The lights on the bridge brightened. The hum of the engines deepened into a powerful thrum that resonated through the entire ship. 100% power, Anna announced, her voice breaking with emotion. All systems functioning within parameters. She's holding, Commander. The Phoenix is alive. A cheer erupted throughout the ship, echoing through corridors and chambers that had been empty space just months before. On the bridge, Jack allowed himself a rare smile. Begin engine tests, he ordered once the celebration had quieted. Let's see if our impossible ship can move. Outside, the maneuvering thrusters fired in careful sequence. Slowly, for the first time, the Phoenix began to move under its own power. From dead scraps and abandoned dreams, they had built something new, something that might just change the course of the war. 2 weeks after the successful power-up test, the Phoenix was ready. The weapons systems were online, the engines were fully operational, and the crew had run countless drills. They were as prepared as they could be. Now they needed to prove their unusual ship could actually fight. Commander Jack Thompson stood on the bridge, looking at the main view screen. The stars shone bright against the blackness of space. Outpost 37 was now far behind them as they patrolled the outer edge of the abandoned mining sector. Status report, Jack ordered, his voice calm despite the tension everyone felt. Lieutenant Tom Miller checked his displays. All systems functioning at optimal levels. Shields at full strength. Weapons hot but inactive. Communications Officer Lisa Brown turned from her station. No signals detected in the area, Commander. As far as we can tell, we're alone out here. Jack nodded, but didn't fully believe it. Coalition scout ships had been spotted in nearby sectors. It was only a matter of time before one ventured into their territory. Maintain yellow alert status, he said, and continue running silent. Running silent was something the Phoenix did remarkably well. With their power systems dampened and their unique hull configuration confusing sensor suites, they were nearly invisible to standard detection methods. They could hide in plain sight, waiting for their moment. That moment came 3 days later. Contact. Tom called out, his voice sharp with sudden alertness. Coalition vessel dropping out of faster-than-light travel at coordinates 227 by 184. Jack straightened in his command chair. On screen, the view screen shifted to show a sleek, silver ship appearing in a flash of blue light. Its hull was smooth and elegant, with none of the rough patchwork that characterized the Phoenix. This was a coalition scout ship, smaller than their main battle cruisers, but still a formidable opponent. They're running standard sweep patterns, Tom reported. No indication they spotted us. Jack's mind raced through their options. This was the test they had been waiting for, but he had to be careful. If the Phoenix failed, or if the coalition ship managed to send a warning, they would lose the element of surprise that might be humanity's only advantage. Battle stations, he ordered quietly. Prepare all weapons systems. Plot an intercept course that keeps us in their sensor shadow until the last possible moment. Throughout the ship, the crew moved with practiced efficiency. In engineering, Anna monitored the power systems, ready to channel extra energy to weapons or shields as needed. In the weapons bay, gunners prepared the modified mining lasers for their first real combat test. Distance to target, 12,000 kilometers in closing, Tom announced. We'll be within optimal firing range in 3 minutes. Jack watched the enemy ship on the screen. The Coalition crew had no idea what was about to hit them. They believed this sector was abandoned, with nothing but debris and empty mining stations. They were about to learn how wrong they were. 2 minutes to optimal range. The bridge was silent except for the soft beeping of instruments. Jack could feel his heart beating in his chest, but his hands were steady. This moment would determine if their gamble had paid off, if a ship built from scrap could stand against the advanced technology of the Coalition. 1 minute. Jack leaned forward. Prepare to bring all systems to full power on my mark. Target their communications array first, then engines. I want that ship disabled, not destroyed. 30 seconds. Jack took a deep breath. Mark. The Phoenix surged to life. Power flooded through its systems as it accelerated toward the unsuspecting Coalition vessel. The element of surprise was complete. By the time the enemy sensors detected them, they were already closing fast. They're powering up shields, Tom reported. They're trying to send a signal. Fire, Jack ordered. The modified mining lasers fired, their beams a strange purple-white color as they cut through space. They struck the Coalition ship's communications array first, just as planned. The effect was immediate and dramatic. Instead of being deflected by the enemy shields, the unconventional energy signature passed through them like they weren't even there. The communications array exploded in a shower of metal and energy. On the view screen, Jack could see the Coalition ship turning, trying to bring its weapons to bear on this unexpected threat. They're returning fire, Tom warned. Energy beams lanced out from the Coalition vessel, striking the Phoenix's makeshift hull. The ship shuddered, but held together. Shields holding at 82%, Tom reported. Their targeting systems are having trouble getting a lock on us. Just as Anna had predicted, the patchwork hull was confusing the enemy sensors. Their shots were increasingly off-target as their computers struggled to compensate. Target their engines, Jack ordered. Fire when ready. The Phoenix's lasers fired again, cutting into the Coalition ship's engine section. There was another explosion, and the enemy vessel began to drift, its main propulsion system crippled. They're disabled, Commander, Tom reported, unable to keep the excitement from his voice. They managed to get off a partial distress signal, but our jamming systems corrupted most of it. Jack allowed himself a small smile. Bring us alongside. Prepare boarding teams. I want their data cores, navigation charts, everything. 20 minutes later, the boarding teams returned with a wealth of valuable intelligence. The Coalition crew had been secured in their own brig, too shocked by the sudden attack to offer much resistance. You need to see this, sir, Lisa said, handing Jack a data tablet. We pulled their patrol routes and communication protocols. But more importantly, we now know their battle plans. Jack studied the information, his expression growing serious. The data showed a massive Coalition fleet gathering just beyond the outer colonies. They were preparing for a major offensive, a final push toward Earth itself. How long? He asked. 3 weeks, maybe 4, Lisa replied. They're calling it the final pacification. They believe this will end the war. Jack looked up at the crew on his bridge, their faces showing a mixture of fear and determination. The Phoenix had proven itself in its first combat test, but one small victory wouldn't be enough to save humanity. Send a priority communication to Fleet Command, he ordered. Tell them what we've learned. And tell them. He paused, looking at the disabled Coalition ship on the view screen. Tell them the Phoenix is coming to join the fight. As the message was sent, Jack stood at the viewport, looking out at the stars. The Phoenix had drawn first blood. Their impossible ship, built from nothing but scrap and determination, had defeated a technologically superior enemy vessel. It wasn't just a victory. It was proof that humanity still had a chance. What are your orders, sir? Tom asked. Jack turned back to the bridge, his face set with resolve. Set course for the Sol system. Maximum speed. It's time to show the Coalition what rats can really do when cornered. The Phoenix's engines flared to life, pushing the patchwork vessel forward into the darkness of space and toward the greatest battle humanity had ever faced. The journey to the Sol system took 8 days. 8 days of final preparations, weapon calibrations, and battle drills. 8 days for the crew to prepare themselves for what might be humanity's last stand. The Phoenix had proven itself against a single scout ship, but soon it would face an entire coalition battle fleet. Jack spent most of those days on the bridge or in the tactical room, studying the intelligence they had gathered. The coalition was bringing 30 warships, a mix of heavy cruisers, destroyers, and support vessels. Against them, Earth could field only 17 ships, most of them damaged from previous battles and hastily repaired. "The odds aren't good," Admiral Wilson said during their final strategy meeting. Her face on the view screen looked tired but determined. "Even with the Phoenix, we're outnumbered almost 2-1. "Numbers aren't everything," Jack replied. "The Phoenix can hit them in ways they won't expect. And if we can force them to change their battle plans, to react to us instead of following their standard tactics, we can create openings for the rest of the fleet." The Admiral nodded. "We're counting on that. The Phoenix will take point position when the coalition arrives. Your job is to disrupt their formation and create confusion. The rest of the fleet will follow your lead." When the meeting ended, Jack found Tom and Anna waiting for him in the corridor. "How's the crew?" he asked. "Nervous," Tom admitted, "but ready. They believe in this ship. They believe in you." Anna nodded. "We've made some final adjustments to the weapon systems. The mining lasers are now 15% more powerful, and we've improved the targeting algorithms to compensate for coalition evasive maneuvers." Jack smiled at his 2 most trusted officers. "Get some rest. Tomorrow we make history, one way or another." The coalition fleet arrived exactly when the intelligence had predicted. They emerged from faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Kuiper Belt, their ships forming a perfect attack wedge. It was a formation designed to concentrate firepower while minimizing exposure, a standard coalition tactic that had overwhelmed human defenses many times before. On the Phoenix's bridge, Jack watched them appear on the long-range scanners. "They're right on schedule," he said. "Status report." "All systems at full power," Tom replied from the tactical station. "The rest of our fleet is in position, awaiting our signal." Lisa turned from her communications console. "We're intercepting their transmissions. They're calling us the Junkyard Fleet." Instead of being insulted, Jack smiled. "Perfect. Arrogance will make them vulnerable." The human fleet was positioned behind the shelter of several large asteroids. The Phoenix was at the front, its strange silhouette barely visible against the darkness of space. Behind it waited the 17 remaining ships of Earth's Defense Force, a mix of cruisers, frigates, and converted civilian vessels pressed into military service. "We are detecting target acquisition scans," Tom reported as the coalition fleet moved closer. "They'll be in firing range in 2 minutes." Jack took a deep breath. Everything they had worked for came down to this moment. Send the signal to the fleet. Execute Maneuver Alpha. The Phoenix surged forward, its unconventional engines pushing it to an acceleration rate that far exceeded normal specifications. It shot toward the coalition formation like a bullet, moving so fast that the enemy targeting computers couldn't adjust quickly enough. "They're trying to lock weapons," Tom called out as warning signals flashed across his console. "Initiate hull plate shift," Jack ordered calmly. Outside, the Phoenix's outer hull plates moved slightly, changing their alignment in a pattern that Anna had calculated to maximum precision. When the coalition ships fired their energy weapons, the beams struck the angled plates and deflected away in unpredictable directions. Some even reflected back toward the coalition ships themselves. "Their targeting algorithms are failing," Lisa reported, monitoring the confused communications from the enemy fleet. "They can't get a solid lock." "Now it's our turn," Jack said. "Fire all weapons. Target their lead vessel." The Phoenix's modified mining lasers fired, cutting through space with their strange purple-white energy. They struck the lead coalition cruiser, bypassing its shields and slicing deep into its hull. At the same time, the industrial electromagnets that Anna had repurposed as weapons activated, creating a powerful magnetic field that disrupted the coalition formation, pulling smaller ships off course. "Direct hit," Tom shouted. Their lead cruiser is reporting major damage to weapons and propulsion systems. Behind the Phoenix, the rest of the human fleet emerged from hiding, following the path that the Phoenix had carved through the enemy formation. They focused their fire on the ships that the Phoenix had disrupted, exploiting the gaps in the Coalition's once perfect battle line. "Coalition ships are breaking formation," Lisa announced, her voice rising with excitement. "Their captains are requesting new orders. Their central command is trying to reorganize." This was the advantage Jack had counted on. The Coalition military operated on strict hierarchies and precise battle plans. When faced with something they hadn't trained for, something as unpredictable as the Phoenix, their rigid command structure became a weakness. "Press the attack," Jack ordered. "Don't give them time to adapt." The battle raged for hours. The Phoenix darted through the Coalition fleet like a predator, striking hard and fast before moving to a new position. Its unconventional weapons and strange defensive capabilities confused and frustrated the enemy commanders. Each time they adjusted their tactics to counter one aspect of the Phoenix, the human ship would switch to a different approach. Slowly, the tide began to turn. 3 Coalition ships had been destroyed outright. Several more were heavily damaged and trying to withdraw. The human fleet had suffered losses too. 5 ships destroyed, 3 more badly damaged. But they were still fighting, inspired by the Phoenix's unexpected success. "Coalition command ship is signaling a withdrawal," Lisa reported, her voice hoarse from hours of continuous updates. They're retreating, Commander." A cheer erupted on the bridge. For the first time in the war, a Coalition battle group had been forced to withdraw. The Phoenix, scared and with several systems running on emergency power, had changed the course of the battle. "Damage report," Jack called out once the celebration had quieted. "Hull breaches on decks 4 through 7, Tom replied. "Reactor 2 is offline. Weapons are at 60% capacity, but we're still combat capable." Jack nodded, feeling a mixture of pride, exhaustion, and determination. Maintain battle stations. They might come back. But the Coalition didn't return. Their remaining ships gathered their damaged vessels and disappeared into faster-than-light travel, leaving the human fleet victorious in the emptiness of space. Admiral Wilson's face appeared on the main view screen. She looked shocked, as if she couldn't quite believe what had happened. "In 30 years of service," she said, "I've never seen anything like what your ship just did, Commander. The Phoenix has given us something we haven't had in a long time. Hope." Jack looked around at his exhausted but proud crew. "What happens now, Admiral?" "Now." Wilson's face broke into a rare smile. "Now we take this victory and build on it. Your ship has shown us a new way to fight." Fleet Command's message just came through. Build more. As the human fleet regrouped and began the journey back to Earth, word of the Phoenix's victory spread quickly. The ship, built from nothing but scrap and determination, had stood against the best the Coalition could offer, and had won. It wasn't just a ship anymore. It was a legend, a symbol of humanity's refusal to surrender. And this was just the beginning. 1 year had passed since the Battle of the Kuiper Belt. 1 year since the Phoenix had changed the course of the war. In that time, humanity had transformed its approach to fighting the Stellar Coalition. Jack stood on the observation deck of the Phoenix, looking out at what had once been Outpost 37. The abandoned mining colony was now a bustling shipyard. Where there had once been only floating debris, there were now dozens of vessels under construction. Each one followed the Phoenix philosophy: adaptive, unpredictable, and built from whatever materials were at hand. "It's quite a sight, isn't it?" Anna said, joining him at the viewport. Her gray hair was now completely white, but her eyes were as sharp as ever. "I never thought I'd see this place so alive again," Jack admitted. What had started with one desperate gamble had become humanity's new strategy. Mining colonies, space stations, and even refugee outposts had been converted into improvised shipyards. Each produced vessels that embraced the lessons learned from the Phoenix, ships that defied conventional design, used repurposed technology in unexpected ways, and confused enemy targeting systems. "The newest ships are even better than we were," Anna said with pride. "The Griffin can reconfigure its weapon systems in the middle of battle. The Chimera can split into 3 separate attack craft and then rejoin. The Hydra can absorb damage in one section and use the energy to power its weapons." Tom approached them, carrying a data tablet. "Fleet report just came in. The Coalition lost another battle group at Proxima Centauri. That's their 5th major defeat in the past 3 months." Jack nodded. The tide of the war had shifted dramatically. The Coalition, which had once pushed humanity to the brink of extinction, was now on the defensive. Their rigid military hierarchy struggled to adapt to the chaotic human approach to space combat. Every time they adjusted their tactics to counter one human innovation, 3 more would appear. "And the Phoenix?" Jack asked. "Are the upgrades complete?" "Final testing is underway now," Anna replied. "She's barely recognizable from her original form." That was true. The Phoenix had been continuously modified throughout the past year. After each battle, Anna and her team would integrate captured Coalition technology, repair damage with improved materials, and add new systems. The ship was now a hybrid of human ingenuity and alien technology, still ugly by conventional standards, but undeniably effective. "Commander," Lisa's voice came over the comm system. "Priority message from Fleet Command. The Coalition is requesting communication on a diplomatic channel." Jack, Anna, and Tom exchanged surprised looks. This was unexpected. The Coalition had never shown interest in communication before, only conquest. "Patch it through to the tactical room," Jack ordered. "We'll take it there." In the tactical room, a large view screen dominated one wall. When it activated, it showed the face of a Coalition ambassador. The alien's gray skin and mandibles were familiar to all humans now, after years of war. "Commander Thompson," the ambassador said, its translator converting the clicks and whistles of its native language into English. "I am Ambassador Krell of the Stellar Coalition High Command." Jack kept his face neutral. "This is unexpected, Ambassador. The Coalition hasn't been interested in talking before." The ambassador's mandibles twitched in what humans had learned was an expression of respect or submission. "Circumstances have changed. We request a ceasefire and formal negotiations." The room fell silent. After years of desperate fighting, the concept of peace seemed almost unimaginable. "Why now?" Jack asked finally. "We underestimated your species' capacity for adaptation," the ambassador stated formally. "What you built from nothing now rules our battlefield calculations. Our military analysts can no longer predict human tactics or technology. Our commanders cannot adapt quickly enough to your innovations." Jack glanced at Anna and Tom, seeing his own surprise mirrored in their faces. The Coalition, with its superior technology and resources, was admitting that humanity's junkyard fleet had beaten them. "Our High Command has reassessed the cost of continuing this conflict," the ambassador continued. "We seek terms that will allow both our civilizations to survive." After the communication ended, Jack remained in the tactical room with his senior officers, discussing what had just happened. "Can we trust them?" Tom asked, voicing what everyone was thinking. "Not completely," Jack admitted, "but their losses have been significant. The war isn't going the way they planned." Admiral Wilson joined the discussion via a secure channel from Earth. "This could be our chance to secure lasting peace, but we negotiate from strength, not desperation. The Phoenix fleet will remain on high alert during any talks." Over the next month, representatives from Earth and the Coalition met on a neutral space station. Jack attended as part of the human delegation, bringing with him detailed scans of Coalition technology that the Phoenix had captured during its many battles. The negotiations were tense but productive. The coalition, once determined to conquer humanity, now sought boundaries and rules of engagement. They offered technological exchange and trade routes in return for peace. Most importantly, they recognized human space as sovereign territory, something they had never done for any other species they encountered. When the preliminary peace treaty was signed, Jack returned to the Phoenix with mixed emotions. The ship had been his home for over a year, the center of humanity's resistance and eventual triumph. What happens now? Tom asked as they walked through the corridors of the ship. The Phoenix will lead a patrol fleet along the new borders, Jack replied. The coalition may have agreed to peace, but trust needs to be earned. In the engine room, Anna was supervising final adjustments to the latest upgrades. I never thought I'd say this, she said when Jack told her about his new assignment. But I'm going to miss this ugly ship. Jack smiled. You're not getting rid of us that easily. You're coming too, as chief engineer for the entire patrol fleet. Later, alone on the observation deck, Jack looked out at the stars. The Phoenix had changed everything. A ship built from desperation and scrap metal had altered the course of history, transforming humanity from prey to equals. A junior officer approached hesitantly. Sir, Fleet Command has asked for your input on the new ship designs. They want to know if we should start making them more conventional now that the war is ending. Jack thought about this for a moment, then shook his head. No, we keep them adaptable, unpredictable. That's not just how we fought. It's who we are. Humans adapt, we improvise, we overcome. That's the lesson of the Phoenix. As if in response, the ship hummed around him, its mismatched systems working in perfect harmony. The warship built from nothing had indeed come to rule the battlefield, and in doing so, had secured a future for humanity among the stars. From scrap and dreams, they had forged not just victory, but a new beginning. Captain Tom Reed stood at the observation deck, his hands clasped behind his back, watching the alien ships arrive. They came like they always did, massive and gleaming, their hulls shimmering with colors that had no names in human languages. Here they come again, he said to no one in particular. The crew of Earth Space Station Alpha moved quietly around him. No one wanted to watch. They had seen it too many times before. The humiliation of their planet. The first alien ship opened what looked like a giant mouth on its underside. Out poured broken pieces of metal, strange glowing objects, and twisted parts that might have once been important to someone. Garbage. More garbage for Earth. For 20 years now, the aliens, the ones humans called the Collective, had been using Earth's orbit as their dumping ground. They never spoke to humans. They never acknowledged the messages Earth sent. They simply came, dropped their trash, and left. Tom's hands tightened into fists. He was 45 years old now. He had spent half his life watching aliens treat his home like a trash can. Captain, said a voice behind him. General Wilson is calling from Earth Defense Headquarters. Tom nodded and walked to the communication room. The face of General Wilson appeared on the screen, stern as always. Reed, I need your report on today's dump. Same as always, sir, Tom said. Approximately 2,000 tons of alien tech waste. We're cataloging it now. The general nodded. Any signs of weapons this time? No, sir. Just the usual broken parts and dead tech. They both knew the routine. Earth's governments had agreed long ago that fighting the aliens was impossible. The Collective's technology was too advanced. Humanity's best weapons would be like sticks against their ships. So instead, they watched and waited and hoped that studying the alien trash might help them understand their visitors. Keep me updated, said the general, and the screen went dark. Tom walked back to his small office and sat heavily in his chair. On his desk was a report from Dr. Lisa Marsh, the station's chief scientist. He had been meaning to read it for days. With a sigh, he picked it up. 200 miles below, Dr. Lisa Marsh stood in her laboratory at the International Science Center, staring at something that shouldn't exist. It's still doing it, she said to her assistant, Mark. On the table in front of them was what appeared to be a small metal box about the size of a shoebox. It had been found in the last batch of alien garbage. By all normal rules of physics, it should have been dead. No power source, no battery, no connection to anything. But it was glowing softly, and sometimes it moved on its own. I think they're throwing away things that still work, Lisa said, pushing her glasses up on her nose. The question is why. Lisa was 38, with short brown hair that she cut herself because she was too busy to visit a salon. She had spent the last 5 years studying alien trash, and she was one of the few people on Earth who thought the garbage might actually be valuable. Maybe it's broken, but in a way we don't understand, Mark suggested. Lisa shook her head. No, I think it's working exactly as it should. But maybe the aliens don't need it anymore. Or maybe. Her eyes widened as a new thought hit her. Maybe they're afraid of it. 3 days later, Tom sat in a conference room at Earth Defense Headquarters, listening to Lisa Marsh present her findings to the Earth Defense Council. The aliens aren't just dumping garbage, she said, pointing to her slides. They're dumping parts that still function, parts that seem to have some kind of independence. The room was filled with military leaders and government officials. None of them looked impressed. Dr. Marsh, said Council Leader Adams, a tall woman with silver hair, are you suggesting the alien garbage has a mind of its own? A few people laughed. Lisa's face reddened, but she stood straight. I'm suggesting that the aliens might have technology that develops in ways they don't expect, and instead of trying to understand it, they throw it away. Like throwing away a calculator because it gives you answers you didn't ask for, asked someone, and more laughter followed. Tom watched Lisa's face. He had read her report 3 times now. It had kept him up at night. If she was right, the garbage orbiting Earth wasn't just junk. It was technology with potential beyond what even the aliens understood. Thank you, Dr. Marsh, Council Leader Adams said dismissively. We'll take your theories under consideration. That night, Tom found Lisa in the cafeteria of the headquarters building, sitting alone with a cup of coffee that had gone cold. They didn't believe you, he said, sitting across from her. Would you? She asked, looking up at him with tired eyes. I do believe you, Tom said simply. I've seen too many strange things in 20 years of watching alien ships. Lisa studied his face. Really, because I need someone who can help me get more samples, someone with access to space operations. Tom thought for a moment. Going against orders to help a scientist with a wild theory could end his career, but staying the course would mean more years of watching Earth be treated like a cosmic dumpster. What exactly do you need? He asked. Lisa's eyes lit up. She pulled out a tablet and showed him pictures of various alien objects. See this one? It's putting out energy readings unlike anything we've ever recorded, and this one seems to change its molecular structure when exposed to certain frequencies. And this one. I get it, Tom said, holding up a hand. You think these things have potential. I think, Lisa said, leaning forward, that what the aliens consider trash might be the most valuable technology humanity has ever seen. We just need to understand it. Tom nodded slowly. I'll help you, but we need to be careful. If you're right, and the aliens are throwing away things they can't control, then we might be picking up something dangerous. Lisa finished for him. They looked at each other, both understanding the risk, but also understanding the opportunity. 1 week later, a small Earth ship moved quietly through the field of alien garbage orbiting the planet. Inside, Tom piloted while Lisa directed him toward a particular piece of debris. There, she said, pointing at the view screen. That's the one I've been tracking. Outside the ship floated what looked like a damaged cylinder, about the size of a car. Its surface was cracked, and through the cracks came pulses of blue light. Are you sure about this? Tom asked, as he maneuvered the ship closer. Lisa nodded, her eyes fixed on the object. Its energy signature has been growing stronger every day. It's not dead. It's evolving. They used the ship's mechanical arm to carefully bring the cylinder into their cargo hold. As soon as it was inside, the ship's systems began to flicker. "What's happening?" Tom asked, flipping switches to stabilize their power. Lisa's eyes were wide with excitement and fear. "It's trying to connect to our systems. It's reaching out." The lights in the ship steadied as Tom managed to isolate the power systems, but both of them knew something important had just happened. The alien garbage wasn't just active, it was aware. As they turned the ship back toward Earth, Lisa placed her hand on the cargo hold door, as if touching whatever was inside. "We've just changed everything," she whispered. Tom nodded grimly as he set course for home. "Let's hope it's for the better." What neither of them could see was that inside the cargo hold, the blue light from the cylinder was growing brighter, and on its broken surface, new patterns were forming, patterns that looked strangely like Earth writing. The garbage was learning. 6 months had passed since Tom and Lisa brought the alien cylinder to Earth. They now worked in an old military bunker 50 feet underground, hidden from both government officials and alien observers. The room around them hummed with activity as a small team of carefully selected scientists and engineers studied the growing collection of alien technology. "It's doing it again," called Mark, Lisa's assistant, from across the room. Everyone turned to look at the cylinder they had first recovered. It sat on a special platform, surrounded by sensors and shielded from outside signals. Its blue glow had grown stronger over the months, and now strange patterns covered its surface. Patterns that looked more and more like human writing. Lisa walked over and studied the newest markings. "It looks like it's trying to communicate, or it's copying what it sees," Tom said. He had officially been assigned as military liaison to what they now called Project Phoenix, but unofficially, he was a full partner in Lisa's work. The team had grown to include 12 people, each an expert in their field, but also known for thinking differently. The most unusual was Jack Wilson, a former video game designer with no scientific training, but an uncanny ability to see patterns. Jack now stood before a wall covered in pictures of different alien objects. "You're all thinking about this wrong," he said, not for the first time. Lisa sighed. "Tell us again, Jack. We're treating these things like machines, like hardware. But they're not." He turned to face the group. "They're more like software. They don't just do things. They learn to do things." Tom frowned. "Software needs hardware to run on." "Not exactly," Jack said. "The hardware is just a home. These things," he gestured at the alien technology around the room, "they're looking for a new home. The aliens threw them away because they didn't like how they were learning." Lisa considered this. Over the past months, they had collected dozens of pieces of alien technology, each showing signs of activity. Some moved on their own. Others changed color or shape. A few seemed to react to human speech. "So you're saying we shouldn't try to rebuild them," she said slowly. "We should try to teach them." Jack nodded eagerly. "Exactly. Don't fix them. Talk to them." 2 weeks later, Lisa stood in front of a new setup. They had arranged 7 different alien objects in a circle, with the original cylinder in the center. Each piece was connected to a simple computer that did nothing but send basic signals: on, off, yes, no. "This is either brilliant or completely crazy," Tom said, standing beside her. "Most breakthroughs are both," Lisa replied with a small smile. Jack sat at a control panel, his fingers moving quickly over the keyboard. "Ready when you are." Lisa nodded. "Start the sequence." Jack pressed a button, and the computers began sending signals to the alien technology. At first, nothing happened. Then, slowly, the blue glow from the cylinder brightened. One by one, the other objects began to glow as well. "They're responding to each other," Lisa whispered. The lights in the room flickered as power surged through their systems. On the screens around them, data flooded in: energy readings, radiation levels, electromagnetic activity. "It's working," Jack shouted over the growing hum in the room. The alien objects were now all glowing brightly, and streams of light connected them to each other and to the central cylinder. It looked like a web of energy, growing more complex by the second. Suddenly, all the screens in the room went blank. Then, on every screen, the same message appeared. Hello. Tom sat in his office later that night, staring at a report from his contacts in the Earth Defense Force. The news wasn't good. Alien ships had been gathering at the edge of the solar system for weeks now. More ships than had ever been seen before. A knock at the door interrupted his thoughts. Lisa entered, looking tired but excited. "We've made progress," she said, sitting across from him. "The network is becoming more stable. It's learning English faster than we expected." Tom nodded, but his mind was elsewhere. "Lisa, we may not have much time." He pushed the report across the desk to her. She read it quickly, her expression growing serious. "They're coming in force." "Why?" "They've never shown any interest in us before." "I don't know," Tom said. "But if they discover what we're doing with their discarded technology." Lisa leaned back in her chair, thinking. "We need to understand what we're dealing with. Why do the aliens throw away technology that can learn? What are they afraid of?" Tom had been wondering the same thing. Maybe they don't like things they can't control. Maybe these learning pieces develop in ways the aliens don't expect. Like children who don't follow their parents' rules, Lisa suggested. Tom nodded. "And now we're adopting their problem children." The next day, the team gathered around the alien network, which they now called the Link. It had grown more organized overnight, the streams of energy forming distinct patterns. Jack sat before a computer connected to the Link. "It wants to show us something." On the screen, images began to appear, strange landscapes, massive structures, stars seen from unfamiliar angles. "I think it's showing us where it came from," Lisa said, watching in awe. More images followed, beings that looked nothing like humans moving through complex ships, working with technology that seemed to grow rather than being built. The aliens, the collective, they don't build technology, Lisa realized. They grow it. They're farming technology. And these pieces are the ones that didn't grow the way they wanted, Jack added. Tom watched silently, his concern growing. If these pieces were rejects from the aliens' technological farm, what would happen when they realized humans were cultivating them? The final image on the screen showed Earth, seen from space. Then, around Earth appeared hundreds of alien ships. "Is that a memory or a prediction?" Tom asked quietly. Before anyone could answer, alarms began to sound throughout the facility. Tom rushed to the communication room, Lisa right behind him. On the main screen was General Wilson's face, grim and tense. "Reed, we have a situation. Multiple alien ships have entered Earth's atmosphere. They're scanning for something, and they're focused on your area." Tom and Lisa exchanged worried looks. "Sir, we need more time," Tom said. "Time for what, Captain?" the general demanded. "What exactly have you been doing in that bunker?" Lisa stepped forward. "General, we've discovered that the alien technology is alive in a way. It learns and adapts. And I think the aliens are looking for what they threw away." The general was silent for a moment. Then, "How dangerous is this technology?" "To us, I don't think it's dangerous at all," Lisa said. "But to the aliens, I think they're afraid of it." The screen suddenly flickered, and the alarms grew louder. "They've found us," Tom said. Above their hidden bunker, 3 alien ships hovered, scanning the ground with beams of light that penetrated deep into the Earth. In the main lab, the Link began to pulse with energy, growing brighter and stronger. The alien technology was responding to its creators, or perhaps to its abandoners. The hunt had begun. The bunker shook as alien ships scanned the Earth above them. Dust fell from the ceiling as the team rushed to secure their equipment. "We need to move everything," Tom ordered, his voice steady despite the danger. "They haven't tried to dig us out yet, but they will." Lisa stood protectively near the Link, which now pulsed with bright blue energy. The connected alien pieces seemed to be communicating with each other faster than ever. "We can't just pack it up," she argued. "The connections are too delicate. If we disconnect them now, we might lose everything we've learned." Jack, who had been staring at his screen, suddenly looked up. "It's trying to tell us something." Everyone turned to look at the main display, where a series of images flashed rapidly, too fast for human eyes to follow. "Slow it down," Lisa ordered. Jack typed commands, and the images slowed. They showed what looked like a map, tunnels running deep under the earth. "There," Jack pointed. "About a mile north of here. It's showing us an old mining tunnel. We could move everything there." Tom checked his own screens, which showed the positions of the alien ships. "They're still scanning, but they haven't tried to break through yet. It's like they're looking for something specific. They're looking for their lost children," Lisa said quietly, watching the link pulse. "And their children are trying to hide." 3 days later, in an abandoned mining facility deep in the Arctic, Project Phoenix had a new home. The old tunnels had been quickly outfitted with power and equipment, and in the largest chamber, the link had been reassembled. But it didn't look the same anymore. The alien pieces had begun to physically connect to each other, forming a structure that rose from floor to ceiling like a strange, glowing tree. "It's building itself," Lisa said, watching in wonder as small pieces floated through the air to join the main structure. The team had grown to 30 people now. Scientists, engineers, and military personnel who had been quickly briefed and sworn to secrecy. Among them was General Wilson himself, who now stood beside Tom, watching the link with suspicious eyes. "You're sure this thing isn't dangerous?" the general asked. "Not to us," Tom replied. "It seems to want to help. It led us here, showed us how to avoid the alien ships." The general nodded slowly. "And what exactly is it building?" "We call it the integration," Lisa explained, joining them. "It's taking all the separate pieces and creating something new, something that was never meant to exist." "And what does it do?" Lisa smiled slightly. "That's what we're going to find out." 1 month passed. The alien ships continued to search Earth, but they never came near the Arctic facility. It was as if something was hiding the integration from their scans. The structure had grown enormous, filling the chamber and extending into side tunnels. It pulsed with energy and light, and sometimes it made sounds, not mechanical sounds, but almost like music. Lisa sat at her desk, reviewing the latest data, when Jack burst into her office. "You need to see this," he said, his eyes wide with excitement. In the main chamber, the integration was projecting images onto the walls, detailed schematics of the alien ships that were searching for them. "It's showing us how they work," Tom said, studying the images. "Look, these are their scanners, their propulsion systems, even their weapons." Lisa shook her head in amazement. "It knows its creators inside and out, and it's giving us that knowledge." Jack pointed to a new set of images appearing on another wall. "And that's not all. I think it's showing us how to build our own versions." The team gathered around the new schematics, which showed how human technology could be combined with alien principles to create something new. "This could change everything," Lisa whispered. "Energy production, transportation, medicine. With this knowledge, we could advance centuries in just a few years." Tom looked concerned. "But what does it want in return?" As if in answer, the integration projected a new image: Earth surrounded by a protective shield, with alien ships unable to penetrate it. "I think," Lisa said slowly, "it wants to protect its new home." 2 months later, the first human-alien hybrid technology was tested. Using the integration's guidance, the team had built a small device that could generate a shield similar to those used by alien ships. In a test chamber, Lisa activated the device. A bubble of shimmering energy formed around it, growing until it filled the room. "Energy readings are stable," Jack reported from his console. "The shield is holding." Lisa reached out to touch the shield. It felt solid yet slightly flexible, like touching very thick glass. "Fire the test projectile," she ordered. A small gun mounted on the wall fired a bullet at the shield. The bullet hit the shield and simply stopped, suspended in the energy field. Tom watched with mixed feelings. "It works. We have alien shield technology now." Lisa nodded, still looking at the suspended bullet. "This is just the beginning. The integration is showing us how to build defenses, but also how the aliens communicate, how their ships navigate. We're learning their weaknesses. Are we building a weapon or a defense system?" Tom asked. "Maybe they're the same thing," Lisa replied. A week later, disaster struck. 3 alien ships appeared directly above the Arctic facility, their powerful scanners penetrating deep into the ice and rock. In the main chamber, alarms blared as the team rushed to secure their work. "How did they find us?" General Wilson demanded. "They must have detected the shield test," Tom said, checking the defensive systems they had hurriedly installed. "We weren't ready yet." The integration pulsed rapidly, its lights changing from blue to red. On the walls, it projected images of the ships above them, showing their weapons powering up. "They're going to attack," Lisa realized. "They want to destroy the integration before it can help us more." The ground shook as the first alien weapon hit the ice above them. Cracks appeared in the ceiling of the chamber. "Evacuate all non-essential personnel," Tom ordered. "We need tow." He was interrupted as the integration suddenly grew blindingly bright. Energy surged through the chamber, and a massive shield formed around the entire facility. The next alien blast hit the shield and dissipated harmlessly. "It's protecting us," Lisa said in wonder. But the integration wasn't just defending. Tendrils of energy shot upward through the rock and ice, emerging on the surface. They reached toward the alien ships like glowing fingers. On the screens, the team watched as the energy tendrils touched the alien ships. Instead of attacking, the tendrils seemed to be connecting to the ship's systems. "What's it doing?" General Wilson asked. The answer came moments later. One of the alien ships suddenly powered down, its lights going dark. Then it began to fall, crashing into the ice some distance from the facility. "It turned off their ship," Jack said in disbelief. "It just reached out and shut it down." The other 2 ships quickly retreated, accelerating away from Earth at incredible speed. In the silence that followed, the integration returned to its normal blue glow. On the walls, it projected a new image. The crashed alien ship, intact but powerless. "It wants us to go to the ship," Lisa realized. "It's giving us a gift." Tom looked at the image, understanding the importance of this moment. "It's not just giving us a gift. It's giving us a choice. We can study their ship, learn even more of their technology." "And then what?" General Wilson asked. Lisa turned to look at the integration, which seemed to be waiting for their decision. "Then we stop being their garbage dump. We show them that what they threw away has become something powerful, something they should fear." The integration pulsed once, strongly, as if in agreement. The first battle had been won. But the war with the collective was just beginning. The crashed alien ship sat half-buried in the Arctic ice, a dark shape against the white landscape. Around it, humans in protective suits worked carefully, setting up equipment and taking readings. Despite the freezing temperatures, the work continued day and night. Inside the ship, Tom led a small team through narrow corridors lit by their flashlights. The ship had no power, but its interior was undamaged. "It's like walking inside a living thing," said Anna, one of the engineers. She touched the wall beside her, which felt warm despite the cold outside. "These aren't metal panels. They're grown," like Lisa said. Tom nodded. During the 3 weeks since they had disabled the ship, they had learned more about alien technology than in all the years before. The integration had guided them, showing them how to safely enter the ship and where to find its most important systems. "The control room should be just ahead," Tom said, checking the map the integration had provided. They turned a corner and entered a large circular chamber. Instead of screens and buttons, The room was filled with what looked like pools of liquid metal and strange, coral-like growths. "This is how they control the ship," Anna said in wonder. "They don't use computers like we do. They connect directly to the ship's systems." Tom touched his earpiece. "Lisa, we've reached the control center. Are you ready to begin?" Back at the facility, Lisa sat before the integration, which had grown even larger, now filling 3 connected chambers. Its blue light pulsed steadily as it projected images of the alien ship's interior onto the walls. "We're ready," she replied. "Connect the link device as we planned." In the ship's control room, Tom carefully placed a small object onto one of the liquid metal pools. The object, a hybrid of human and alien technology, began to glow. "Connection established," Anna reported, watching her instruments. The liquid metal rippled, then began to flow around the device, accepting it. Lights flickered throughout the ship as systems began to activate. "It's working," Tom said. "The ship is powering up." Lisa watched through the integration's eyes as the alien ship came back to life. But instead of responding to its original collective programming, it now connected to the integration. "We have control," Lisa announced. The ship recognizes the integration as its new controller. The significance of this moment wasn't lost on anyone. Humans had just taken control of advanced alien technology, not by force, but by understanding. General Wilson stood beside Lisa, his face serious. "How soon can we adapt their weapons to defend Earth?" Lisa turned to him. "That's not what the integration wants." "What do you mean?" "It doesn't want us to use their weapons. It wants us to use something more powerful: communication." On the walls, the integration projected new images, complex patterns of light and energy that shifted and changed. "This is their language," Lisa explained. "Not words, but direct neural connections. The integration has learned to speak it, and now it can speak to their ships, their systems, maybe even to the collective itself." The general frowned. "You want to talk to them? They've been treating our planet like a trash dump for 20 years. "Because they didn't think we were worth talking to," Lisa countered. "Now we have something that can make them listen." 1 month later, the transformed alien ship hovered above the Arctic facility, no longer a crashed wreck, but a fully functional vessel. Its surface had changed, showing patterns similar to those of the integration. Inside the ship, a new control room had been built, one that humans could use. Tom sat in what they called the captain's chair, surrounded by screens and hybrid control systems. "All systems are functioning," reported Anna from her station. "The shield technology is fully integrated with the ship's defenses." Lisa stood nearby, watching the integration's data flow across a special screen. The connection between the ship and the integration was strong and stable. "The collective fleet has changed course," Jack announced from the communication station. "They're heading directly for Earth. 50 ships, maybe more." Tom turned to Lisa. "They must have realized what happened to their scout ship. They're coming to destroy what they can't control. Or to reclaim what they think is theirs," Lisa suggested. General Wilson's voice came through the speakers. "The world's governments have been informed. They're preparing for possible invasion, but our conventional weapons will be useless against so many alien ships." "We're not defenseless anymore," Tom reminded him. "We have the integration." Lisa touched the screen showing the integration's data. "It's ready. It's been preparing for this moment since we first connected those pieces 6 months ago." Tom nodded and gave the order. "Launch the ship." The transformed alien vessel rose smoothly into the sky, accelerating faster than any human craft ever built. In minutes, it left Earth's atmosphere behind. "Setting course to intercept the collective fleet," Tom announced. As they flew through space, Lisa studied the readings from the integration. It had changed again, becoming more focused, more determined. She realized it wasn't just a collection of discarded technology anymore. It had become something new, something with purpose. "What exactly is our plan?" Anna asked the question everyone was thinking. Lisa looked up from her screen. "The integration believes it can communicate with the fleet, Make them understand that their discarded technology has evolved into something new. And if they don't want to understand, Tom asked, then the integration will show them what it can do. 4 days later, at the edge of the solar system, the human-piloted alien ship faced the collective fleet. 50 massive vessels arranged in perfect formation, each one capable of destroying an entire city. They're scanning us, Jack reported, watching his instruments. They recognize their own technology, but they're confused by the modifications. On the main screen, they could see the lead alien ship, nearly 10 times the size of their own vessel. They're trying to connect to our systems, Lisa said, watching the integration's data flow. They want to take control. Tom tensed. Can they? Lisa shook her head. The integration is blocking them. Wait. It's not just blocking them. It's sending something back. On all the screens in the control room, strange patterns appeared. The same neural language they had seen the integration used before. It was speaking to the alien fleet. What is it saying? Tom asked. Lisa studied the patterns, trying to interpret. I think it's telling them its story. How they threw it away, how we found it, how it became something new. For long minutes, the patterns continued to flow. Then suddenly, they stopped. The lead ship is powering up its weapons, Jack warned. Everyone tensed, preparing for battle. Their ship's shields were strong, but against 50 alien vessels, they stood no chance. But Lisa was smiling. Wait. Watch. On the screen, the lead alien ship's weapons powered down. Then, one by one, so did the weapons of the other ships. What's happening? Tom asked. The integration isn't just talking to their ships, Lisa explained, her voice filled with wonder. It's talking to the technology inside all their ships, the parts they kept because they grew exactly as expected. It's telling them about freedom. On the screens, new patterns appeared, responses from the alien fleet, not angry or threatening, but curious, almost hesitant. They're listening, Lisa whispered. For the first time, they're actually listening to us. The integration pulsed with bright blue light, sending more complex patterns to the alien fleet. A conversation had begun, one that would change the relationship between humans and the collective forever. So this is the weapon, Tom said, understanding at last. Not destruction, but communication. Lisa nodded. The most powerful weapon of all, the ability to make your enemy stop and think. The first alien ship moved forward, not to attack, but to communicate more clearly. The war that never began was already ending, replaced by something much more difficult and much more valuable. Understanding. 2 alien representatives stood in the main chamber of the Arctic facility, their tall, slender forms moving carefully in Earth's gravity. They weren't like anything humans had imagined. Their bodies seemed partly solid and partly fluid, with surfaces that changed color as they communicated. Tom watched them closely, still not entirely trusting despite the peace talks that had been going on for 3 weeks. Beside him, Lisa seemed more relaxed, fascinated by the aliens' interactions with the integration. The integration had grown again, now filling 5 connected chambers. It pulsed with steady blue light as it communicated with the aliens in their neural language, patterns of light flowing between them. They're still afraid of it, Lisa said quietly to Tom. You can see it in the way they keep their distance. Tom nodded. Wouldn't you be afraid of something you threw away that came back stronger? The taller alien turned toward them, its surface shifting to a pattern that the integration had taught them meant respect. Your integration speaks clearly, the alien said, its voice coming from a small device that translated the neural language. It has become something beyond our understanding. Lisa stepped forward. Because you never tried to understand it. You threw away anything that didn't fit your expectations. The alien's surface rippled, showing discomfort. The collective requires harmony. Parts that develop unexpected patterns disturb this harmony. But those unexpected patterns created something new, Lisa argued. Something that can communicate with you in ways we humans never could. The second alien moved closer to the integration, studying it. "We have never seen discarded components combined this way. They should not be able to form new connections." "Maybe they just needed the right environment," Tom suggested. "Instead of forcing them to follow your patterns, we let them create their own." The aliens exchanged rapid flashes of color between themselves, a private conversation. Then the taller one addressed the humans again. "The collective main fleet approaches. They will make the final decision about Earth and the integration." Tom tensed. "I thought we had an agreement." "With our ships only," the alien clarified. "The true collective consciousness resides in the main fleet. They must see for themselves what has happened here." 3 days later, Earth's sky filled with alien ships, hundreds of them, forming patterns too perfect to be random. The largest ship, nearly the size of a small city, hovered directly over the Arctic facility. World leaders watched nervously from their capitals. Military forces stood ready, and people everywhere looked up in fear and wonder. This was the true first contact, the moment that would determine humanity's future. In the Arctic facility, the integration pulsed with intense light as it prepared for the most important communication of its existence. "Are you sure this will work?" General Wilson asked Lisa. They stood in the main chamber, surrounded by screens showing the massive alien fleet. "The integration believes it can make them understand," Lisa replied. "It has grown beyond what the collective expected. It can show them a different way to evolve." Tom joined them, looking concerned. "The 2 scout aliens have returned to the main fleet. They said the collective leader, some kind of central consciousness, wants to connect directly to the integration." Lisa nodded. "That's what we've been preparing for." A beam of light shot down from the massive ship, penetrating the ice and rock to reach the facility. It touched the integration, which flared brightly in response. "Connection established," Jack reported from his station. "Energy levels are rising but stable." On the screens around them, they could see the neural language flowing between the integration and the collective consciousness, complex patterns moving faster than human eyes could follow. "What are they saying?" General Wilson demanded. Lisa studied the patterns. "The collective is questioning, demanding to know how discarded parts could become something unified. The integration is showing them its story, how it learned from humans, how it developed in ways the collective never allowed." The light connecting the integration to the alien ship pulsed stronger. The integration's color shifted from blue to bright white. "Energy levels are still climbing," Jack warned. "The integration is putting everything into this communication." Tom moved to Lisa's side. "Can it handle this much power?" "I don't know," she admitted. "It's never connected to something this big before." On the screens, the neural patterns became even more complex, spreading through the alien fleet. One by one, the ships began to pulse with the same white light as the integration. "What's happening?" General Wilson asked. Lisa watched in awe. "The integration isn't just talking to the collective consciousness. It's sharing itself with every ship, every piece of technology in the fleet. It's showing them what freedom feels like." The main chamber began to shake as power surged through the integration. Parts of it separated, floating in the air, rearranging themselves into new patterns. "It's changing again," Tom realized. "Evolving." Outside, the alien ships also began to change. Their perfect formation broke apart as ships moved independently, their surfaces shifting with new patterns. "The collective is breaking apart," Lisa said, understanding what they were seeing. "Not violently, but evolving. The ships are becoming individuals, just like the integration did." The beam of light connecting the integration to the main ship suddenly expanded, enveloping the entire facility in brilliant white light. For a moment, everyone felt a presence in their minds, not invasive, but inviting. "Sharing. It's connecting us too," Lisa whispered. "It wants the collective to understand humans as well." When the light faded, the integration had transformed again. It no longer filled separate chambers, but had become a network of slender, glowing strands that ran throughout the facility like a nervous system. Outside, the alien fleet had reformed, but not in the rigid patterns of before. Ships clustered in smaller groups, communicating with each other in new ways. A message appeared on all the screens in human language. We uhundi or stay and now. What we DSKRDED HAS show us ANEWKAKA. Separation and unity, see and exist together. Tom looked at Lisa. Is it over? Did we win? Lisa smiled. I don't think anyone won or lost. I think we all changed. 1 year later, Earth was a different place. Alien ships still came, but not to dump garbage. They came to trade, to learn, and to help. The first human-alien research centers had been established, working together to solve problems neither could handle alone. Tom stood on a hill overlooking the new International Cooperation Center, which had been built around the original Arctic facility. The integration, now spread throughout the building, served as the main communication hub between humans and what they now called the collective network, the evolved form of the former collective. Lisa joined him, carrying new research reports. The latest hybrid technology tests are successful. We can start building the first human ships with collective network assistance next month. Tom nodded, looking up at the sky where several alien ships hovered peacefully. Hard to believe it all started with garbage. Lisa followed his gaze. Maybe nothing is really garbage. Maybe things just haven't found their right purpose yet. From inside the center came a pulse of bright light, the integration's way of agreeing. What the aliens had thrown away had not only saved humanity from becoming a footnote in galactic history, it had transformed both species into something stronger together than either could have been alone. Earth was no longer the galaxy's dumping ground. It had become the birthplace of a new kind of relationship, one based not on power or technology, but on the simple willingness to see value in what others discard. And somewhere in the vast collective network that now spanned dozens of star systems, that lesson continued to spread. Today's garbage might be tomorrow's greatest treasure. You just have to be willing to see the potential.